We're trying to connect someone from Manitoba, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes? Is he with us? Okay, well, we're going to get going. Welcome. It's great to see you all. I don't think Parnali needs much of an introduction, so I'm just going to profit and say a few words about her. You know, both Arlene, Beche, and I had the great pleasure to be co-supervisors for her. And we actually met her several years ago in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, when she was doing her PhD on the transmission of dengue using ecosystem approach in the Old Eco Health Program. And I believe we have with us also online Dr. Emdad Hake, who was her supervisor during that time. So, hi, Emdad, if you are with us. Yes, well.
Hello, Andreas.
He was there before. You could see him on the screen.
Okay.
So he might join earlier.
I think.
I mean late. What do you want to do?
Martin, maybe? Just we lost or?
He was there.
Okay.
He was, but he was not.
I can hear you all.
He is on
Hello?
Skype.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's great to have you with us if you can hear us.
Hearing him back.
Yes.
So I don't know what.
Okay. So let me just say a few words about Parnali. This project was really actually multi-stakeholder, rather complicated. We had the University of Manitoba, the microbiology lab at Winnipeg, North-South University in Bangladesh, ICCDRB, the Ministry of Health, and NGOs, a couple of NGOs working in low-income districts of Dhaka. And one of the things that really impressed me of Parnali was her ability to actually interact with all these organizations, all led by males in a male world, and with a lot of tact, actually operationalize that day-to-day multi-stakeholder approach and processes, you know, and also just as another example of her versatility. The project had not much money. The Winnipeg lab offered their laboratories, but not everybody could just go in and process the samples. So Parnali took on the role of becoming a certified technologist in order to process the samples. Yeah. And then she decided to come to IDRC and take on a new thematic on the food systems and the prevention of NCDs. And just would like to know also in terms of her skill set and broad capacity to learn and hard work earned merit. Neither Arlene nor I were involved in the selection or review process of the award. So we were delighted that you joined us. And we've been really impressed about the work you've carried out. And in terms of her research with us, well, I'm going to let her tell us the story. And set aside. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Andres, and welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining me today. It's really great to be here. And past 10 months, I know lots of people who are here, almost everyone. So thank you again for joining me. As a research awardee, I would like to say that past 10, 11 months, it's very challenging, and that's the best part, to take the challenge to finish a publication standard research work within 10, 11 months, starting from proposal, obtaining ethics, going to the field, and come up with solid data analysis. I really enjoyed this work, and as you can see, my research topic was sugary drinks consumption, and purchasing behavior of school children in Dhaka, Bangladesh. To start with, I would like to show you advertisement in South Asian context. So I have to go it here. Where is the sound? Let me start again.
सनशाइन वाली आशा रोने की वजह कम है हंसने के बहाने ज्यादा जिद है मुस्कुराएंगे खुश रहने का है वादा उम्मीद वाली धूप सनशाइन वाली आशा तुम दिल से अगर पूछोगे वो खुश रहना ही चाहे जब सच्चे मन से मांगो तो खुल जाती है राहें तो खुल के खुशी लुटाओ ये क्या है आधा आधा उम्मीद वाली धूप सनशाइन वाली आशा उम्मीद वाली धूप सनशाइन वाली आशा
So I'm sure that everybody in this room now is thinking of Coke, but no, okay. So, but what's the key message you got from this advertisement? Any comments or critics?
They're very good at doing it.
Well, this advertisement is made with school-age children, as you can see, and showing the tagline of believing in happier tomorrow when you open a bottle of Coke. And in reality, we all know that's not the case. So we might ask here, what are the sugar-sweetened beverages or sugary drinks? CDC recently defined that beverages to which the caloric sweeteners have been added, and it includes soft drinks, fruit drinks, sweetened milk drinks, any 8 drinks, and sports and energy drinks, punches, and sweetened tea or coffee. And this is the picture to show you a couple of sugary drinks with its sugar contents at the bottom. Some people might be at dark if you don't know like what is actually our daily recommended level of sugar intake. American Heart Association said for men, adult men, it's 37.5 gram or 9 teaspoon. And for adult women, it's 6 teaspoon or 25 grams. So somewhere like here for men and somewhere here for women. But the thing is that it's not only added sugar, it's the whole total sugar that you consume from even fruits, vegetables, everything. And for children, it's even less. It's only 3 teaspoon or 12.5 gram. One rule of thumb is just to, if you can imagine that 5% shouldn't go beyond of your total calorie consumption of the sugar intake. So you can imagine like for children, as it is 3 teaspoons, so one bottle of Coke or like 35 gram they are consuming, the sugar means almost 3 times more than they need. And these soft drinks, nothing but water and sugar, so you can think of this as a liquid candy, and somehow children manage to drink all day, adults too. So we wouldn't have recommend if the children only take the candies all day. So what happens eventually, the consumption of a glass or can of sugary drinks actually increase the child obesity 60%. Now let's look into some facts of child obesity. Globally, more than 42 million children under age of 5 years are overweight or obese, mostly from low and middle income countries. WHO already recognized that this is one of the most serious public health challenges of 21st century. Why? Because the obese or overweight children actually are at high risk of comorbidities during their childhood, comorbidities of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular problem, obesity, sleep apnea, and respiratory problems. Now, giving all these facts and the numbers I just talked, you can think that obesity is already as an epidemic. And yes, it is an epidemic. And if we can think of it is an epidemic, then what is the vector looks like? And WHO says the obesogenic environment is the vector. And obesogenic environment, for the people like to tell you more, that anything, it's an all-inclusive term, anything that promotes obesity. So I would like to say, I can't say everything regarding obesogenic environment. All I thought maybe I should talk about the main factor, that's the beverage industries. So when I started my research, I thought why not look into the beverage things to look into how it promotes the obesogenic environment. And as a key factor, why I say this is the key factor, because you know that beverage industries market and sell billions of dollars sugary drinks all over surrounding us, and as well as somehow they manage to pay the healthcare system for what happens at the adulthood or what happens to us by drinking these. So if you can imagine, if we can down-regulate this industry, but this is very difficult to do so. Why? Because sugar is cheap, it sells, and it tastes good, and it's everywhere. So company has very little incentive to do so. So eventually, obesity predominating environment, or what we call obesogenic environment, actually predominates everywhere. The second main factor is basically the TV advertisement. I thought would be better to look into, because that's their marketing strategy, to go through the TV advertisement channel, because this is the commonly used medium to reach out more children or more people. So when I'm talking about the TV advertisement, I looked into the TV advertisement power and exposure. What do I mean by the power? The power is brand image or technique, and the exposure is number of brand appearance, like how many times you can see that advertisement during a day. So I thought these are the two things to look into, how that influence children's perception and behavior towards consumption and purchasing sugary drinks. And while I'm talking about the consumption, I also thought to look into the family food environment and school food environment. So having said all this, let's talk something about these beverage industries in Bangladesh context. Beverage industry is fairly new in Bangladesh. It first introduced in 1980. And because of the hot weather, it's a very competitive market with growth rate of 20% yearly. There are 19 beverage companies are operating currently, with 35% market shareholder by PepsiCo, then 25% Coke, and 25% local Pran company beverages. Now, the history of these beverage companies are fascinating. None of them start as a beverage company, and they were something else when they started. So number one is the Transcom Beverage Limited. This is basically the franchisee of Pepsi 7-Up. They started back in 1885 as a tea producing. And another one I would like to draw your attention is, in the third place, is AMCL, or Agricultural Marketing Company Limited of Bangladesh. They launched the Pran, that's the beverage company, in 1995. And Pran stands for Program for Rural Advancement Nationally. So initially they were making jam, jelly, pickle, and suddenly they started making the beverages. So, and this is happening last 20, 30 years, as you can see. There is one unpublished data, and that's only data I can find out with ICDDRB, and ICDDRB is my research partner here. So they started in 2012 with the fund from SIDA to look into what's the obesity or overweight scenario of the children in our country. So they saw that 1 in 10 school-age children is overweight in urban areas of Bangladesh. So the second question is whether children are at more risk with the TV advertisement in Bangladesh context. I would say yes, because first, like, there is no government guidelines for restricting advertisement, and global media is fairly new, penetrated 1992 with satellite TV. Cable TV came in 1993, and children are less familiar with international advertisement, the content and how to navigate the commercial messages. And finally, there is very poor regulatory market infrastructure. This is the picture of 15 most popular sugary drinks in Bangladesh. Well, so to do the literature survey, I tried to see whether there are any research going on regarding these sugary beverages and the child obesity and overweight. I found there are a couple international standard peer-reviewed literature which looked into the child obesity, overweight, and the risk factor associated, but none has looked in the sugary beverages and its association with sugary drinks. So that's the empty ground and where I'm working. So why Dhaka? As I said, that ICDDRB was my partner since last 7 years. I was very comfortable to work with them, and they were actually started with the SIDA-funded project. So they told me, and they revealed me, that 9.7% were overweight in Dhaka, and 3.5% are obese. And this age range is 6 years and less than 18 years. And 58% consumers in Dhaka are basically school-age children. And one thing that we couldn't avoid to mention, that presently Dhaka is undergoing rapid demographic, economic, epidemiological, and nutritional transition. And the final thing is that beverage consumption practice is considered as a very fashionable drink consumption. Because why is so? Because they are the common people, the general people follows what celebrity does. And these are the pictures of all celebrities there in India and Bangladesh who drinks all the beverages and promote while the cricket plays or anything, any occasion and those. So they actually encourage and to drink more, and that's why it says the fashionable drink in that country. So having said all this is my conceptual diagram. In the middle, you can see that I wrote A, B, C, D impact. What it stands for, A and B stands for attitude and belief. I thought it would be a good idea to look into children's knowledge. Given the time and resource I have, I only looked into knowledge and perception. C stands for commercial. I looked into how TV advertisement actually influenced them in terms of consumption and purchasing of sugary drinks. And E for environment, here I looked into family food and school food. Nothing in a holistic perspective, but at least in the family, what's the grocery rule? And in school, whether there is any vending machine, something like that. And I also looked into the demographics of my respondents. In case of children, it's age and sex. And while I was looking into the family food environment, I also looked parents' education and income. So these are my 3 objectives. First is to assess knowledge and perception towards sugary drinks consumption. Second, to look into the impact of television commercials on children's attitude. And third, to identify the influences from home and school food environment. And here comes the methodology. My methodology was mixed method. I did both qualitative and quantitative one. As I started with ICDDRB, I had to rely on them, on their multi-layered sampling methods. And from their list, I chose 2 schools, and I did that purposefully. And I also got my ethics from them. So this is the location of Dhaka in Bangladesh, and it has 90 city wards. I'm going to explain you how ICDDRB did their sampling strategy. So first, initially what they did, they chose 30 wards from these 90 city wards randomly. And they did the BMI survey in schools to look into the overweight and obese children. Finally, they came up with the 13 schools. And all 13 schools are basically from Dhaka North City Corporation. So the 90 wards, you can divide north and south, and then they saw like all are from North City Corporation. So from that list of 13 schools, I purposefully chose 3 schools, given the time and resource. So what I did the questionnaire survey. So in each school, I distributed 200 questionnaires to the school children. I also did the focus group discussion, 2 focus group discussion in each school, and did the 6 key informant interviews with the policymakers, teachers, and experts. This is a sample question of my students' socioeconomic questionnaire, and just to show you an idea. And then this is a focus group discussion questionnaire. It was open-ended, but with some clues. You can see the probes are in first bracket. So I was quite open-ended to start discuss about your favorite drinks and why those types are favorites, something like that. I started my discussion, and it lasts for 1 hour or so. So this is the wards of Dhaka North City Corporation and the location of these 2 schools. And if I can zoom in, you can see more closely. And this is the picture of one school, that is the Bengali medium school, and this is the English medium school. So a little bit background, just to understand why these schools I have chosen. The Bengali medium school is public school, and because of this public, the children are coming from middle income groups. And the Holy Crescent School, the other one that I just showed you, it's basically the private school and in English medium. And what happens in those areas, people who are a little bit rich, they send their children to the private schools because you have to pay the tuition fees are quite high. So this is the picture. I was taking the questionnaire survey in the boys' school, and this is the school where in the English medium, I was doing the questionnaire survey again. And this is a picture of focus group discussion with the ICDDRB. He was my research assistant. And it's a picture from one school principal. I was taking the interviews with her for my key informant interviews. So now comes to the results. I distributed 400 questionnaires. I got 300 from school children, and there I got back 129. I also distributed the questions for the parents to the children. They took it back and distributed me on the next day. So 129 parents and 34 teachers. I did the quantitative analysis with descriptive and chi-square, Spearman correlation, and regression. And for qualitative, I'm presenting here only focus group discussions. So for objective 1, as I said, to look into the knowledge and belief towards consumption, these are some bullet points, what I found. in terms of gender, I saw that boys and girls have similar knowledge regarding obesity outcomes, but boys drink more sugary drinks. And I will show you the table. In terms of age, more younger children believe that drinking sugary drinks actually cause obesity, but they drink more. In terms of purchasing, actually the purchasing behavior correlated to share with friends, and after watching the drinking behavior from their parents or teachers, and the students who believe that this refresh more, like you cannot, water is not good enough to meet up your thirsty. And the fourth is basically the sugary drinks consumption behavior. I did the regression and I saw the people who has higher knowledge regarding the bad effects of sugary drinks actually consume more. So yeah, quite interesting. So this is the table of chi-square and distribution table. As I said, that almost percentage-wise boys and girls believe that SSB cause obesity, but you can see that boys drink more. And this is also true for these are the young age group, 10 to 11 years, and you can see his percentage is going down for drinking behavior as well as the knowledge. So, and this is the correlation table. This one is just actually gives you that the purchasing the sugary drinks is whether correlated which variables, just the correlation, whether it's positive or negative, and it's highly significant, whatever I got, although little bit weak correlation, but I found that sharing SSB with guests, I just told you, and drinking in front of the children, like when parents and teachers drink in front of the children, that variable, and as well as that belief system that it more refreshing than water. So these are the positively correlated with purchasing behavior. And here I did the logistic regression. You will see that two columns of odd ratios, because first I wanted to see if I adjust, means ignore the age and sex variables, then whether this is significant or not. So what I found that these variables is actually the most significant. Even though you adjust age and sex, this is significant, even you don't adjust. While I was not adjusting age and sex, I found two variables. Those like people who believe that is bad for dental health and people who believe SSBs are bad for health. And actually that means, what does it say by odd ratio? That the percentage is higher for those people. Like odd ratio is practically, I'm not going in details, the probability of occurrence versus non-occurrence or vice versa when you put one variable as your base. So here ES is my base, like the reference frame, and I got these ratios which are significant. So these two variables are significant. And okay, now comes to the FGDs, some of my quotations here. As I just mentioned, that the younger age children are basically drinks more, although they have the knowledge. So I asked them why, and one said me that I know Coke is bad for tooth, but I like the taste. So that's why I like while I'm thirsty, I go with the Coke. And the other one said, I love the advertisement. And this is most fascinating, that one kid said that I think cooking with oil is bad for health, but not the Coke. The reason is it helps me digestion. And I was like, there is no scientific knowledge on this unless I came up with this one. This is a very recent report in Telegraph, which says that Coca-Cola recommended as medical cure for stomach blockage. And I was like, really? So I was just Googling it. And while I was Googling it, within like less than 1 second, I got piles of like literature. And what is actually, I'm not going there, I'm just sharing my experience that Coke industry actually sponsor lots of academic people and then dietitian. They actually fund the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, American Academy of Family Physician. And that's a whole lot of story. There's some organization returned back their money last year. So anyway, so that's the sharing of my experience, like when he said, so what's happening? So in terms of objective 2 is basically looking into the impacts of TV commercials, and here are some bullet points of my findings, that girls prefer to watch more TV than playing, and the TV ad-driven purchasing requests to their parents are significantly higher among girls. And in case of age, higher age group children prefer more to watch TV than playing. I did that by chi-square test, and then while looking into the TV watch and consumption, I found the significantly positively correlation with consumption preference after watching TV and then getting the free gifts. And TV impacts on purchasing gave me the significant association with like to get free gifts, the TV commercial of favorite SSB ad, as well as the final one is the most advertised one. So here comes like the content of the ad and the repetitiveness, like the exposure things. So I'm not going in details, like the way I did is the chi-square test to look into the variables age and sex, and then here to look into the correlation, like hours of TV watch and the consumption preference. And this is the logistic regression. The one thing I would like to mention here to be quick that in case of adjusting age and sex, and by not adjusting, in 3 variables here on the left-hand side for independent variables, all become significant. So like to get free gifts, significant. Like to get TV commercials of favorite sugary drinks, and then favorite sugary drinks were the most advertised one. These 3 independent variables are actually highly significant with my dependent variable, that is purchasing sugary drinks. So this is the third objective, to look into home and food environment. So I asked the parents that whether they buy sugary drinks while doing grocery. It's just a bar chart to see that percentage is higher, that they say no. And that's quite right, because in that area, they don't buy sugary drinks while they are doing grocery, because they are not doing grocery from the departmental store. So it's an open market, so it's okay, and it's related with the education. Here it's also related with the income, that more people parents says that no, we don't buy the sugary drinks while doing our regular grocery. So I asked another question that whether there is any vendor or shops in the school ground. Most of the respondents from teachers said yes, and few said no. Actually, it's a mix of 2 schools, so I am not going in details, but it comes from more in both schools actually. And the teacher who said no, I am not sure why they said no, but because I saw also the vending machines. So, and whether school provides sugary drinks during occasion, most of the teachers said no. Well, we have to go with that. So, so comes to the discussion, and this is a conceptual diagram again, just to come up what I found in my results, just to show you at a glance. This one is fascinating. I just said like the attitude belief is basically, in my case, is looking into the knowledge, and knowledge has no role actually in terms of consumption or what we call behavior per se. So this is important. Demography is, yes, it has a role in terms of consumption and purchasing behavior. This box shows you the commercial impacts, the consumption preference, free gifts, hours of TV watching, all has impact directly or indirectly. And these 3 things I just mentioned, that sharing with guests, watching parents to drink, and sugary drinks are more refreshing. These 3 variables are actually significant for purchasing behavior. So a little bit more, I would like to say that girls prefer to watch more TV, right? So from FGD, I found that why? Because there are not lots of playground to play for the girls outside. And in case of boys, they play cricket, even in the streets. So that's fine for them. So lack of infrastructure for them to play. So as a result, they make more requests to their parents. However, boys drink more sugary drinks. Why? I think one quotation I would like to say here, that one kid said that I get pocket money and I buy Pepsi with that money. I don't request my parents. And the second one is that younger children, like grade 5 and 6, know that it has a bad impacts. So the FGD revealed they got this knowledge from the schools actually. But they drink more, and I figured out like this is because of taste, color, getting free gifts, and sense of refreshment. So in conclusion, I said, not in conclusion, like this is the one major discussion point, that knowledge of harm related to sugary drinks may have limited influence to limit the behavior among children. And this is from one, like the focus group discussion with parents. There is a risk communication issue. What does it mean? Like when general people don't have knowledge is good than wrong knowledge. So there is a myth on exercise and sports drink. Someone said that my son plays cricket every day after school, and I think he's okay with sports drink because he exercises more than other kids. And similarly, like sport drinks are good for health, for instant energy, like the kids who plays outside or regular player of cricket. And another point is the school environment might influencing children's purchasing and consumption behavior by allowing street vendors, and they don't have any rules right now. The final one is the perception of harm related to sugary drinks significantly contributes to parents and teachers' perceived requirement to down-regulate the government intervention. I haven't shown you that. That's a kind of component analysis I did, but that came very significant. They want government to intervene. So in conclusion, my study was actually the first exploratory study in the context of Bangladesh. And parents are least aware about the effects of TV advertisement. And I don't blame them because it's fairly new. All those channels and every day they are growing. And environment in and around school premises facilitates easy accessibility SSB. Why I said that? Because of those vending machines and everything, and they have the tiffin time rule or the lunchtime rule that kids can go out and buy. Consumption of sugary drinks has become a norm in that context, and it will be challenging to change children's behavior. And significant difference, as you can see, in terms of gender, boys and girls, because it's a deep culture and that's the social structure. So further gender-based analysis or study would have been good here. So in further research with this gender-based study, I would say that anyone, if can do like the content of the advertisement, whether they are showing it purposefully during the children's program, how many times they are showing, that will be a good one, and who are the audience. So. And these are the institutions and persons in my research I would like to acknowledge. Obviously IDRC, my partner institution icddr. These are the two schools. And obviously all other people, and especially all my audience actually today. So thank you. On time.